Using methadone as a doctor inside and outside the hospital has been a game changer for me this year. And in this video, I wanted to give you guys my guide for using methadone, how to titrate effectively, some common pitfalls to watch out for, and to give you guys my full scope. So that way you guys can understand how to use it yourself and help your patients moving forward. So let's talk about it. What's going on, you guys? My name is Dr. Tochi Waneri-Wosu. I'm a hospice and palliative care fellow physician here in California. And in this video, I wanted to talk about a medication that I didn't really have that much familiarity with when I was in my early training years, and this is methadone. Methadone is classically used for those that have opioid use disorder. The dosing strategies are a little bit different for opioid use disorder as opposed to pain management, which I'll be talking about later in this video. Now, methadone can help with pain management, and it does so in 3 different ways. 1, it binds to mu receptors and gives it a positive effect, aka it's a mu receptor agonist, leading to the decreased perception of pain. 2, it's an NMDA receptor antagonist, which helps with a lot of neuropathic nerve pain and also blocks reuptake of norepinephrine and serotonin, which blocks the perception of pain as well. So that's how it works in the background from a little bit more of a nerdy way from a pharmacological standpoint. Now, a little bit more background for methadone. It has a pretty long half-life from about 8 to 90 hours. So that means how long it takes for the drug to actually get 50% to absorb into your system. 8 to 90 hours, that's a really long time. But in terms of actually perception of analgesia, only takes about 48 hours to actually start minimally kicking in for you to start feeling that pain positive experience. And the reason why that's important, because that goes into how we actually dose it for our patients. Like I said before, methadone is used for opioid use disorder, and when you're prescribing it for that reason specifically, it's prescribed once a day. However, when you're using it for pain management, because of this 4 to 8 hour window, we dose it either twice a day or 3 times a day. So if you're seeing methadone, you're not sure why it's being prescribed in the way for your patients, look at it and see how many times is it being prescribed. Is it once a day or is it 2 to 3 times a day? Because if it's once a day, it's for opioid use disorder, and if it's 2 to 3 times per day, it's for pain management. Now, there's 2 different ways that you actually can go about dosing for this medication. Now, if you're opioid naive, usually we start at 1 milligram twice a day, or we start up to 7.5 milligrams in that day period. However, if you're opioid tolerant, there's 2 different ways that you can actually do this as well. Originally, I was going about this way of doing it based off of your oral morphine equivalents, basically how much morphine you're requiring in a full day's period. And for all the different opioids that are out there, there's a conversion factor that gets back into oral morphine equivalents. I'll do a video on that later on this channel if you guys are interested on that. If you are younger than 65 and you're requiring 60 to 199 oral morphine equivalents, you convert all of that and divide it by a factor of 10. For example, if your oral morphine equivalent is a 150 for a full day's period and you're less than 65, then you divide that by 10, meaning that you have 15 milligrams of methadone that you can use in that full day's period. And like I said before, you can be dosed either twice a day or 3 times a day. So you can do either 7.5 milligrams twice a day of methadone or 5 milligrams 3 times a day, adding up to that full 15 milligram dose for methadone. The second half of that method is if you're older than 65 or if you're requiring more than 200 milligrams of oral morphine. And what you do in this strategy is that you take your dose that's more than 200 oral morphine equivalents and divide it by a factor of 20. For example, if you're requiring 240 oral morphine equivalents in a full day's period, divide that by 20, and then you get 12 milligrams of methadone for a full day's period. And like I said before, you can dose that twice or 3 times a day. So either 6 milligrams twice a day or 4 milligrams 3 times per day. Now, the other strategy that I use is not based on age and purely based off of oral morphine equivalents. And this one is broken down into 3 different categories: 0 to 100 oral morphine equivalents, 101 to 300 oral morphine equivalents, or just more than 300 oral morphine equivalents in entirety. And in those 3 categories, you divide it by a factor of 4, 10, and 15. So those are the 2 different strategies that you can calculate your oral morphine equivalents to convert into methadone. I would say that the first strategy is a little bit more conservative when you're getting into those higher ranges of oral morphine equivalents of like 200, 300. You can just base it off whatever you think is more appropriate for your patient in terms of how much pain they're in. Just based off of my personal experience, I've noted that using the first method seems to be a little bit more conservative, especially when you get to those really high ranges of oral morphine equivalents. So oftentimes I have to end up titrating up my medication to be able to reach the pain requirement thresholds to actually help the patient. So I've been using the second method a little bit more often. And one of the other benefits that come with methadone is that it comes in a pill version that can actually be crushed. Reason why this is a benefit over other long-acting opioids such as OxyContin, MS-Contin, is because you're not allowed to crush those medications, but you can crush methadone. When you crush those other medications such as OxyContin or MS-Contin, it turns it more of a long-acting medication into a quick-acting medication, which you really don't want to do because you're trying to not overdose your patient. But with methadone, you can crush that medication because it doesn't get rid of that long-acting factor that comes with methadone. This helps with a lot of patients that may have issues swallowing or have feeding tubes or G tubes. You can crush it and put it into solution and put it into those feeding tubes and still have the long-acting effect that it's intended for. The other forms of this medication is that it can also come in IV, sub-Q, it can come as a liquid. So there's a lot more variability that you can use when you're actually prescribing methadone, which makes it really, really beneficial for patients that either are having poor access with IVs, having issues swallowing, and so on and so forth. Now, there is 3 common pitfalls that you wanna make sure you do not fall for when you're using methadone. Now, for the first common pitfall, I wanna talk about the side effects of methadone. It's an opioid, so it does have a lot of those side effects, such as constipation, respiratory issues, things like that. Well, one of the main things that you have to inform your patient about before starting them in it is the cardiac effects. Now, one of the main things that it can do is lead to the increase of your QTC, which is part of your electrical rhythm. So one of the main things that you need to do is to get a baseline EKG to see what your QTC is. If you're a man and it's less than 450, it's okay. And if you're a woman and it's less than 470, it's okay. There is like a little bit of a range where you want to be careful when it gets a little bit higher than that. But if it's higher than 500, I would say just not even prescribe methadone when your QTC is that high, because it can lead to further prolongation of your QTC, risking to a lot of cardiac events such as torsade, which can be quite fatal. So that's one of the main things that you need to do, is getting a baseline EKG and see, is this person even eligible to being started on methadone? Because if your QTC is too high, we oftentimes do not even do that medications because it's too much of a risk. Now, if you are in that a little bit of a gray zone, where if you're a man where it's a little bit over 450, or if you're a woman and your QTC is a little bit over 470, before it gets to those really, really high ranges, you're gonna have to do follow-up EKGs. Oftentimes it can be in 2 weeks or even 4 weeks when you start this medication. Sometimes people in the hospital get repeat EKGs, but you don't need to do this because one, the pharmacologic dynamics of the medications aren't even kicking in. So getting repeat EKGs again and again and again, it's not really going to show that change in your QTC. The other reason why you want to get another repeat EKG is if you get up to 30 milligrams, if you're increasing your medication up and up and up and it gets to 30, you're going to want to get a repeat. And then again, if it gets up to 100, because that's when you're starting to venture into really, really high levels of methadone, and it can really affect your QTC, like I mentioned before. The second pitfall relates to a lot of the pharmacologic properties as well. Like I mentioned before, the half-life is 8 to 90 hours. And yes, the analgesic period is 4 to 8 hours, but because it takes some time for that medication to build up, oftentimes people in the hospital will stop the other long-acting medications such as MS-Contin or OxyContin or other long-acting meds, and they will start them on methadone the same day. And like I said before, oftentimes methadone is underdosed with those 2 strategies that I use because they're conservative. So if you're going from a medication that is not helping us to as much to another medication that's being underdosed, your patient is going to be in a lot of pain. So what I often do is give our patients a lot of PRNs or as needed medications that are opioids at a very low period. So like Q2 hours, Q3 hours, to allow them that bridge to get pain relief in the time that we're allowing methadone to kick into effect to help them. And the third and common pitfall of using methadone that I really don't want you guys to fall victim to is increasing methadone too quickly. Like I said before, it takes a long time for methadone to actually kick into effect. So don't start methadone and expect pain relief within 1 to 2 days. Oftentimes around that 3 to 4 day mark when it starts kicking into effect. Sometimes people will increase it on day 2 to even a double or triple dose. That is really, really dangerous because one, like I mentioned before, it does affect your QTC, so you do put them at risk for torsades. And then 2, you can have even a lot of the other opioid side effects, respiratory issues, and just really, really cause them to have way more issues as opposed to the actual pain relief that you're seeking for them. So oftentimes the dose that you should be thinking about for actually increasing the methadone dose is when you start hitting that 5 to 7 day mark, and you are not supposed to be increasing it any sooner than that. Sometimes we'll be a little bit liberal and go to the 4th day to increasing it up, but Oftentimes, you should be doing it every 5 to 7 days. So please do not start methadone and think that it's going to start within a day, and really inform your patients about that as well. That, hey, we're starting this new medication, it's really, really powerful, but if it doesn't work right away, we may need to increase it a couple of days from now, and just give them access to the other PRN medications so they can have relief in that time. So I hope that video was informative. If you guys enjoyed that video, make sure you drop a like on this video and drop comments down below. If you guys are interested in the last video that I did, you can check it out in the bottom right hand of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Dr. Tochi, Jeffrey Wanariwosu, and I'm out.